Live here at the residence of former Republican President Edgar Lungu. Now, information coming our way is that thieves broke into, the residence of the former Republican president, and we have been told that the matter has since been reported to the police. But to get more details, let me talk to Patriotic Front member of the Central Committee in charge of information and publicity, Mr. Raphael, nakacinda, who is right in front of me. Good afternoon, sir. You're live on Diamond TV News on the Go.
No, thank you very much. Of course, this morning we were woken up to very traumatizing news that the house of the former president was broken into. And of course, we needed to have the police do their work. And we've been stationed here to understand what's going on. Suffice to say that what has happened today is unique. Is unique in the sense that this is the first time in the history of this country, and it's unheard of globally, to have the house of a former head of state broken into, and quote unquote suggesting that thieves broke into it. But we have every reason to believe that this is a well orchestrated professional work, possibly under the supervision of professional entities. And it's an indictment on or against those that are in authority, in charge of security. Last night, we received a report that conveniently ZESCO switched off, or power switched off around 01 o'clock. And neighbors here can attest to that effect. What followed was the cutting of power supply to the facility and the security wire that has been put in place. Now, before we can give details to what has transpired from last night, I think it's important to remind the Zambian people that a former head of state is entitled by law to a certain outfit of security. But to have security officers, police officers withdrawn and only leaving 2 officers to look after him in a facility of this nature is reckless. And the current president must even be ashamed that under his watch, his predecessor is having people break into his house. They withdrew officers. The next thing that followed, the Zambian people are aware that his ADC, aide-de-camp, responsible for his personal security, was not only arrested on trumped-up charges, but also disarmed, meaning that basically putting the former head of state's life at risk. What has happened today can only be an indictment against President Hakainde Hichilema himself, Honorable Jack Mwimbu himself, the IG of the police, because this is not only an embarrassment, but reckless, and should not have happened. How is it that ZESCO conveniently at the time power went, then thieves came? Who coordinated that arrangement? Further, how is it that they knew the vulnerable area to access the house? And in this situation, if it is thieves, you expect that thieves will go for valuable things. They leave everything and pick out a television or 2 television sets and walk away. Leave some of the items that could have been more valuable than a TV station, a TV set. That was basically just a decoy to suggest that people came to steal. But we believe they came to do more than stealing. It just happened that the former head of state is not around, he is out of the country. But the first lady is here. Her life was put at risk. Anything could have happened, save for God's grace. So to that effect, as a party, we are highly, highly concerned. But also as citizens, and more importantly, as citizens of the Republic of Zambia, we are concerned about what has happened here. It has never happened. It never happened to Kaunda. It never happened to Chiruba. It never happened to even the Monawasa family. It never happened to the Rusata family. It never happened to Rupia Banda. Why is it that under the UPND government, a former head of state is that vulnerable? If a former head of state is as vulnerable as it has been expressed or done today, what of an ordinary citizen? What kind of government is this that can put a former head of state's life at risk, his family at risk?
How is the condition of the former First Lady at the moment?
Well, being a prayerful woman, you can attest to the fact that she is placed her faith in God. But if we are, part of the extended family are this traumatized, because we have said time and again that we have a mafia government that is going to start targeting individuals, including killing those they, quote unquote, perceive to be their enemies or their, rivals. President Edgar Lungu has been magnanimous enough to give President HH space to govern. He has even placed himself, what we usually joke with him, under house arrest because he never moves from this house. The first trip that he has made after 1 year of handing over power is just going for, to South Africa for some routine that he has undertaken. In Zambia here, apart from church services that he would attend once in a while, he never goes anywhere. But there is always this talk from the UPND press singers, UPND officials, suggesting things around President Edgar Chagwa. Look at the recent activities that were, undertaken, harassing the wife over 15 floods. When we went to deck, the officers that are operating here from the police are operating under very difficult circumstances. We have zooming and we are being told that some of the officers are actually being told who deployed you there. In other words, they have become lepers because they are providing a service in terms of security to the former head of state.
Why are you accusing, the state in this particular matter when investigations are under?
The state is responsible towards looking after the former head of state. For me, the state, yes, have a responsibility, but I first have to be, as a private citizen, look after myself, then by extension, the police and so on. But the former head of state is the number one responsibility, is a responsibility of the office of the office of president, the OP, the Director General of Intelligence is responsible for his security. The IG is responsible for his security and all security wings. He cannot be treated the way I would be treated. He cannot be treated the way other people have been treated because by law, there is an outfit expected to be accorded to the former head of state. Misaka Indaichirema, here you must take personal responsibility. Your brother's life is at stake and you are the number one citizen. He is the one that handed over power to you. Take responsibility.
What else do you want to happen in this case following, what has transpired now?
We are now beginning to suspect. We don't know whether we can even expect any action to be taken because, as we put it, the hot potato is in the laps of those who are in government today. So we don't know whether if we say, can you do this, it is to the best interest of the former head of state. But all we're saying that they can do the right thing. The officers that are being harassed here for providing security here now have been turned into rappers. We want to know what is the agenda. Why do we want to divide the system of the systems that have always operated for decades? Why should the police today begin to have camps? This camp for this one, this camp for that one, that camp for that one. Why should it be that a police officer deployed here should be perceived to be one who's anti, when in fact they're just doing their job? They were trained only to provide security.
Now, before I let you go, when this happened, where was where were the security officers? Have they been injured in the process? Where were they?
There were only 2 officers, and as it is expected, one has to man the gate. The other has to be responsible for patrols. And obviously the facility is quite, reasonably big. So how would you expect a former head of state to only have 2 officers? He is a former Home Affairs Minister. Tell us, maybe in your tenure, did you have 2 officers according to a former head of state when you were in office?
We can respond to that.
Government has to respond to that because all of us are getting concerned. And we hope that they will do a professional job to investigate fully what has happened. This is an embarrassment to the country. and government, because the first people who shall be held responsible for whatever will happen is government and the church.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So